Alright, what's up everybody? Zardvark here. As you know, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta has been live for the past few days, and I have been grinding it. Capital G. A lot of stuff has been revealed about the new game, and a lot of people have talked about the main talking points. Really fast TTK, no dead silence perk, footsteps are super loud, SB-Mim cranked up to 100, very, very campy play style, no support for the rushers, but it's kind of been talked to death already. It's kind of the only thing everyone's talking about, so I think I'm not going to put out a video on that, even though I do have some opinions, obviously. It's kind of just stuff everybody knows, and Infinity Ward's not going to change their game because we all complain about it. I'm not going to waste my time telling you things you already know for them to do nothing. So, let's talk about something really interesting, which is COD, Activision, really, attempting to monopolize the entire gaming space, the entire FPS and third-person shooter space. They're kind of trying to do this not so subtle integration of every type of FPS into their games. And it started with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 with the Ground War integration. It's an obvious Battlefield Conquest mode, just basically a one-to-one, just not as good of a version as the classic. Take BF4 as the height of Battlefield. The maps, the main thing really is the maps. They're just not as good in Call of Duty. It's a lot of close quarters, fast TTK. It's playing COD on a Battlefield mode, which doesn't, really work that well in my opinion. I know a lot of Battlefield creators loved Ground War. I just didn't get it. I'm not a fan, never was. It worked a little better in 2019 Modern Warfare, I believe, because the maps were all straight off of Warzone for the most part. And that map, Verdansk, was already a well-designed map with the proper amount of space between clusters of buildings and so forth. But anyway, I would say it started in earnest, their attempt to monopolize the FPS genre in 2019 with that Ground War addition to Modern Warfare. But, I'm sure some would argue it started even before that with Modern Warfare 2 and the Spec Ops missions where you had co-op survival type stuff, the zombies. It's kind of its own thing though. I don't think they were trying to steal anything at that point. Not that they're necessarily stealing anything now, and not, I might add, that I necessarily think this is a bad thing, because if other games are slacking making their own stuff that they invented and COD can do it better, well, shame on you, inventors of your own games that can't even do it as well as COD can. But before we get into that, let's just go through the list, okay? So now in Modern Warfare 2, we've got Ground War, okay, which is Conquest. We've got Invasion, it's just the TDM version of the Battlefield mode. And then what they're coming out with, this DMZ mode, is an extraction shooter, which is just straight out of Tarkov. And what's that? The Cycle is another one. The Cycle is kind of different though, because it's got some different mechanics, but still, The Division had its own version of this. I forgot what it was called, but I never really played it that much. And then we've obviously got Warzone, right? The most obvious one, the Battle Royale. So they've got a Battlefield, they've got an Extraction, they've got a Battle Royale. And then they also said they're going to put raids in. And that's a Destiny thing, right? So now you've got 4 different FPS gaming styles that are completely different from each other, all in the same game. That's not to mention the base game Call of Duty, which is, in and of itself contains several different playstyles. You got your S&D kids, you got your CDL players, you got your casual TDMers, you got wagers, all these things. I was lumping this in with S&D earlier, but this is a mistake for me to do that, because the prisoner rescue, the hostage rescue thing, is kind of its own thing too. It's like a little bit of a more fast-paced Rainbow Six Siege without all the angles and little holes in the wall, which might actually be a good thing, because I hate that about R6 Siege. But anyway, why is COD doing this? Why are they trying to be every single game that you can buy? Well, the answer is obvious. If you can get people who are playing other games to come play your game, you make a hell of a lot more money. If you can convince my friend who plays Destiny to come play a Call of Duty raid, they're not playing Destiny at that moment, and maybe they'll like the Call of Duty raid and keep playing more Call of Duty. If you get my friend who plays Tarkov to come play DMZ, he's not playing Tarkov. And therefore, Activision is making money. Now, this is not a bad thing. I think it could be scary if they succeed. I don't think they'll succeed because a lot of these modes are going to end up being, half-assed, kind of watered down versions of other games that just don't work that well. But if by chance they succeeded and made a great game, which bravo, that would be amazing, and all these other games lose their players, that sucks for them, but on the other hand, get good. But let's say it works. Now Activision is making way more money than they did before. Imagine if all of the games of the SPF, all the players of all the FPS games only played COD, how much money Activision would make. Billions more dollars probably. And now that they have that cash, this is theoretical now, hypothetical. Now that they have that new influx of cash, they can pour that back into their game, make it even better, and spend more money on marketing, blah, 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 blah. And that's when the monopoly starts getting a little scary, right? Because now, now these other game publishers don't have the funds they need to compete. Again, I don't think that's going to be the case because COD is not very good at making video games right now. Then again, neither is anybody else, okay? There's a few good teams out there making good games. A few. Most of them are trash. Let me just say that right now. When's the last time you sat down and played a video game and was like, this is a really good game? A lot of them are single player these days, which COD is not really doing. I mean, they have their campaigns, but what we're talking about is taking other people's multiplayer modes. There's not, like, Battlefield is failing at its own game. That is so embarrassing. That's like, Battlefield is getting a cold bucket of water on the head right now. They're asleep in their bed, sleeping sound, dreaming about being on an island in Fiji, and they're waking up to an ice cold bucket of water getting dumped on them by Activision saying, hey, if you're not going to make Battlefield the way Battlefield should be made, we're going to try it out, and hey, we might beat you. And if COD beats Battlefield at making Battlefield, like, what is even that? What world are we living in where COD is making Battlefield and potentially beating Battlefield its own game? This is not how it's supposed to be, right? The tables are turned, the world is upside down, and we have no idea what's going on anymore. And I think this is going to be ultimately good for the gaming industry. Let's just hope the makers of these other genres of FPS games heed the wake-up call and start acting, because a lot of these games don't have competition. COD has had competition from the start. There's a lot of arena shooter entries from the very start. COD has had to fight for its spot. Now they're sitting pretty, right? They're comfortable, but they're showing, hey, we could rest on our laurels and just make $1 billion because we asked for people to give us $1 billion and they did, which is basically what they do. But no, we're actually going to try to innovate. However watered down and lukewarm the entries may be, we're still going to attempt to keep everybody else on their toes. And I respect that. Battlefield has never had a competitor, not a real competitor. They've had people try, but no one's ever really gotten close. They're the only ones who do that sort of thing. Not anymore. No one does what Tarkov does. All these other games, have their niche and they're comfortable sitting there. But now the big boy is entering the niche. What's gonna happen? I'll be really interested to find out, how this plays out. And I'm even more interested to see if COD can actually execute on these promises that they're making. If they can actually make a competitive entry into each of these genres and kind of wake up these other teams, these other controllers of their own genres, and see who makes the best Battlefield. They're kind of creating an open challenge to everybody out there. It's like you're not safe, If you drop the ball, we'll pick it up because we have the money to do it. Who knows? Like I said, I don't really like their conquest mode. I think it's just COD on a giant scale, which is kind of annoying. It's not really what COD is, in my opinion, but there is a lot of people who play it. Obviously Warzone is wildly successful. The extraction mode and the raids, we'll have to see. We don't know anything about those yet. So, lots of assumptions, lots of hypotheticals in this video, but the one thing that is obvious is that COD is trying to have an entry in every FPS genre, because if they can be every game, If you don't have to go anywhere else to get a different experience, to get whatever FPS genre you want, they don't want you to do that. You know, they want you to stay at COD and have everything you need. They want to be the Amazon of gaming. We'll see how that works out for them. We'll see if their investment has a decent return or not. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think about this. Are you scared of a COD monopoly? Do you think it's a good wake-up call for other gaming companies, or do you think it's just something that people aren't going to take seriously? Let me know in the comments. Join the Discord, join the Twitch channel, and I'll see you guys later.